All right. Well, we should be back. And if you're not, I'll kill you. But, so we're going to get started on a set of twos. We're going to be continuing today what we've been doing throughout the week, which is storyboard-oriented gesture drawing. And tonight specifically, I'm going to be, for myself, I'm going to be drawing some of my characters in some of the poses that we're going to be doing gesture drawings of. Like I've got some, like, that's ultimately what you want to be doing. You want to be improving like your draftsmanship, but you also want to eventually like be steering it into storytelling and being able to actually use it for like putting your characters down on paper and stuff in shorthand and playing with them and developing them. So I got several characters I'm going to be dipping into that I've created tonight, and I'll be using like this little session as a way to kind of develop them in addition to like traditional draftsmanship stuff. But we're going to be getting some warm-ups, some regular warm-ups done. I'll be showing you a little bit of what you can do on your own. Feel free to, like, if you have characters that you want to try drawing, or if you know of existing characters that you want to use, if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can continue with like the Glenn Vilppu and the Alex Wu based stuff we've been doing for the last few days. We've been looking at like Pixar stuff recently too, and some of the non-Twitch stream stuff that happens in my Discord. So we might talk a little bit more about that. Tomorrow's Saturday class, we're going to be really heavily focused on story development for animation, like for storyboarding. Like I've got a few personal projects I'm kind of bouncing around, and we'll be going over like some storyboarding techniques and planning for your stories and trying to figure out what you're trying to say with your work even before you put pencil to paper. But we will be going over some pencil to paper techniques also tomorrow to help you work that stuff, help you to kind of visualize that stuff a little bit better. Anyway, so we're going to get started on a 20-minute set of twos. Okay, Google, set timer for 20 minutes, 30 seconds.
3 hours, 40 minutes,
wow.
and 30 seconds. Starting now.
Okay, Google, cancel timer.
Jesus no problem. Christ. I canceled it.
Okay, Google, set timer for 20 minutes, 30 seconds.
20 minutes and 30 seconds. Starting now.
Jesus Christ. You're killing me, Google. Alright, let's go. So, what we've been doing the last few days is we've been doing kind of a, well, there's three things mainly. There's the Glenn Vilppu approach to gesture drawing, which is you start with kind of a head sphere, and you work your way down the body. It's kind of like 3 lines and stuff. It's straight out of the Glenn Vilppu drawing manual, basically, like chapter 1. This type of gesture drawing. It's almost kind of like a glorified stick figure, but it's basically essentially the same kind of puppet that you use for like for animation and storyboarding. Like it works for just about anything really, but you'll often see animators roughing in scenes with a figure model, something along these lines. Another one that we've been doing is 30-second poses of the Alex Wu. Alex Wu is a Pixar storyboard teacher. Actually, Alex Wu is a Pixar figure drawing teacher. Sorry. He has his starting technique is a kind of like a almost like a Japanese cuneiform 30-second drawing exercise where you're just supposed to like just find the simplified line of action of a pose, something like this right here, which I'm doing. I'm actually drawing the examples of the techniques that I'm talking about, by the way, like that. And then there's the scribble technique, which is like you just dive right in there and you just don't take your pencil off the paper. You try to like find like flow and line of action and stuff. You just try to like improvise and feel your way down the pose and stuff. It's a way to kind of get the kinks out of your system. But yeah, there's like 3 different techniques that we've been using this week. right there. So what I'm doing tonight is I'm gonna be warming up with some of that stuff, but I'm also gonna be like trying to steer things to look for opportunities in the poses we have tonight to develop some characters that I have in mind for some personal work, or if I see an opportunity for some storytelling stuff in some of the poses. Mind you, like that kind of stuff, like the kind of stuff that I'm going to be doing tonight is something you can do at any level of your development and your draftsmanship, because then it's just about like playing with character and stuff, and you don't really need to be the world's best draftsman to just play with doodling silly situations for characters or whatever. But you do want to kind of like reel things back into draftsmanship so you can get like, you know, more expressive results with when you do the character drawings and stuff, like more clearer posing or whatever. So I'm going to be looking an awful lot for opportunities to translate what I'm seeing into some of my characters tonight. Here's one of them right here. Little hedgehog character that I'm going to be seeing if I can use some tonight. There's a few others that are in his, that are also in his same universe that I'm also going to try to see if I can develop some this evening. But using a session like this is a good time to try out a character design. Right now, though, we're doing warm-ups, so you can do whatever you want. Ideally, if you have like if you've been attending the other classes that I've been running here, just basically pick something where you left off, kind of something that you think you'd be good to warm up with, on the techniques that we've been doing here. And if you're totally new, just try like following the flow of the figure drawing. Look for stuff like the line of action right here, the whole figure like that. We're just getting warmed up right now, by the way, so as has been the case throughout the week, the goal of doing these sessions is not to get pretty drawings. It's to kind of like get you in touch with poses you may not have never encountered before, and to get you a better visual library of gesture and like the underlying guts of a pose. Because you go back in and you work out like the shapes and the anatomy and other things later. For right now, you're trying to get like the underlying energy of the pose. And that you can be really clean like this if you want to be like really kind of zen about it. It's simple. Or you can be really sketchy and scribbly, experimental. Or you can be somewhere in between. I think I need to turn on some music. So tomorrow we'll be working on story development stuff. Like I want people to come with small personal, like if you have an existing personal project that you want to kind of use as fodder for development, try to think in terms of like creating a mini vignette snippet from the project where we get like a little bit of a taste of the characters or something. I want you to be thinking in those terms, like where we don't get like a lore dump. We're just gonna get to know like a little snippet of one or two of your characters interacting or in some kind of a situation. So I want you to think in those terms for, in prep for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be going over how to approach writing for those characters and writing, brainstorming, and trying to do some exploratory thumbnailing. The reason why writing's so valuable, I mean, it's not the be-all end-all. I mean, there's a lot of characters that get created just out of the act of drawing and doodling ideas and stuff. But the reason why writing is such a powerful tool for filmmakers or for artists is, or video game developers for that matter, is because you can like get an idea in written abstract words on the paper. You can turn it over in your head, and you don't nail it down visually. Like you can think about like what matters to the core of the idea a little bit more, if that makes any sense. And then you can try different interpretations of it that visually, I mean, when you actually do get into concepting. But by the time you actually get to concepting, you should have such a clear picture in your head of who this character is that it can really only be drawn a few different ways. Like you should know why the character wears red and stuff on their wears like a red shirt. Why the character like has a posture the way they do, or something like that. You should know the character fairly well inside and out, even before you like start doing the first drawings, if you're using that approach. You can skip around a little bit too, but that kind of approach is really helpful for like being able to like turn over an idea without having to commit to a drawing or a design. Gives you a lot more mental headspace to work in. Like the imagination is a powerful tool, so you might say writing is a great way to utilize and spark it. And this is a technique that is used by a lot of video game and film developers. Got the idea from some BioWare artists actually. We're talking about it. Just doing some quick structural drill stuff real quick. Yeah, as you're getting warmed up, try to like look for like whatever the intention of the pose is. I'm getting warmed up with you too, because I'm coming in here without doing very much in the way of drawing today, because I had a lot of other stuff I had to do. There's a lost dog in our neighborhood that we had to turn over to the pound. So I had to keep checking on him, taking care of him, waiting for the pound folks to pick him up. Fortunately, there was a chip in the dog, and the owner got the dog. That was taken care of. The dog's just doing just fine now. It was a cute, sweet little terrier too, really quiet. That's probably why it was one of our close neighbors actually. We didn't know that they owned a dog because their dog was such a well-behaved little quiet, sweet thing. You're going to see me doing quite a bit of figure invention this evening because I'm trying to break out of stagnating from just like being overly slavish to the figure models and stuff. For that, and I'm trying to get a little bit more warmed up on my own terms a bit. But you're also going to see me dip back into using the poses more. So like this one. I'm just going for like really simple, quick observations of like tilt and angle and stuff. Because when I'm storyboarding later this week, I'm going to be drawing about like this quickly, or faster, really. I don't have time to make pretty drawings. I have to like make my drawings communicate what the character's doing quickly. Pretty drawings can come later, after the story's been developed. What I need for the time being is simple communicative drawings. We're going to take a look at Floopy Newbie's big mega post on storyboarding and draftsmanship stuff today. We'll be taking more of a look at that stuff tomorrow too, in relation to actually, you know, physically making your storyboards. But I think it's really important for people to kind of get in touch with their ability to make their own ideas and develop their own stories, because that gives you like added oomph to your art when you're coming up with something that's yours, or when you're capable of coming up with something that's yours. Like even if you're working professionally, if you have something that you can like look forward to that you're developing, that's really powerful. And will actually improve your quality of your work on other projects, because you'll be able to like put a few drops of some of the soul of whatever it is you're developing on your own time into the thing that you're doing professionally in some cases, depending on what type of job it is, really. It is interesting. You can actually physically see that sometimes, like in like earlier work by people who made really cool comics or movies or shows or whatever. Like their earlier work on other projects. You can see like little bits and pieces of like the building blocks of what they would use for their big personal thing. And in a lot of cases, like the shows that they've worked on have helped shape the shows that they've developed, or the shows or the projects or whatever it is. It's always interesting to see the thread line of influence. Like in Miyazaki's case, like he and a lot of like Toei veterans had like a big thread line of influence between them. Anyway, the goal right now is just to get your hand moving, just get warmed up. It's nothing fancy here. Like I said, I'm coming in rusty myself. I didn't get as much practice in yesterday as I wanted to. That's okay. That's why we have these regular sessions. But if you have a weekday, you can pick yourself back up again. In my case, I'm starting to get a little bit jaded to just drawing figures. Like I'm hungry to create my own story stuff. So we're going to be working on that tomorrow. That should be pretty fun. I've got a few different ideas for stories that you're going to get little bits and pieces of. Some of them are kind of half developed, but I'll be able to use some of them as examples of like the kind of stuff you can do with developing your work. Also, I have a bit of a curveball I'm going to throw you guys tonight. I collected a whole bunch of... Yeah, let me show you. But actually, no, we should do some Russian Figure Academy stuff tonight. That'd be great. But yeah, let's see here. What was the thing? Oh yeah, some other artists. So I collected a bunch of like Frank Frazetta stuff, and because Frank Frazetta has really fun, dynamic storytelling in his work, I was thinking of doing some time poses with him. So we'll do that for at least two of the figure blocks that we're going to be doing this evening. Get back at it now. I only got 30 seconds on this pose, so that's going to be an opportunity for me to practice the 30-second technique.
It's story time.
Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
15 seconds remaining.
Okay, yeah, it should be time up right now. So I'll just pause it on this guy actually. You can draw him if you want. But anyway, yeah. Okay, Google, set timer for 5 minutes.
Second timer for 5 minutes.
Okay, Google,
Starting.
cancel all timers.
Alright, it's cancelled.
Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, set timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and we're starting now.
So I'll be on a little 5-minute break right now. But here, let me bring up the Floopy Newbie stuff. So this is going to be a big, huge, handy resource. Well, there's a few things. First off, the Floopy Newbie thing is a really great resource, just in general. Zoom out. It's like just tons and tons of, it's like a mix of like tons and tons of stuff on just like storyboarding in general, but also it has like some stuff on like draftsmanship for storyboards. So we're going to be dipping into this stuff a little bit more tomorrow. Like there's parts of this that we're gonna be like going over together tomorrow during Saturday's class. And I'll also be talking about some techniques that I have for you guys to use, that I'm going to be using too, for developing your stories. One of them is a kind of one of them involves writing, and one of them involves drawing. But there's also mechanics of storyboarding and things like that. There's like all kinds of stuff in here. Like if you just start like leafing through this, like for tips, and and stuff while you are working on a project. You'll be able to like pick up bits and pieces in little chunks that'll improve your work. So I've linked the Floopy Newbie thing in Discord and in Twitch, and also people are posting their warm-up drawings, which is really nice. Gus has got some really nice stuff actually. Raboots has got some stuff. Raboots, I'm seeing some improvement, but there's also like there's parts that are kind of lacking in confidence and knowledge, but that's okay right now. Like I can see coming along, just keep at it. Let's see here. This one's a little bit hard to see because it's a little light, but I can see the line of action and stuff. And also I know you're like the rest of us, you're just getting warm up. But I've seen Aganima's stuff before. But oh yeah, and this is the character that I'm going to be. This is one of the characters that I'm going to be trying to do some stuff with tonight. Yeah, like the techniques we've been using, like looking at Storyboard. Let me see if I can. I mean, there's some examples of it here, of kind of what we're doing here. Like this is the kind of stuff that you usually see in. You usually see in an animation figure drawing class, stuff like this. Usually like with a costume model and like people trying to develop on storytelling for the poses and stuff. Like let's see here, I can find a good example from my portfolio. So there's some life drawing stuff here. So there's examples of that from my personal portfolio of like pushing the story of the pose, like turning the figure model into a character. In this case, like I was able to distill them into like kind of a character that I could think about in terms of abstractions, like right there, like on these really short poses. I don't know how long those poses were, but yeah, you can see me using like kind of the Alex Wu-ish technique there. Even though I wasn't really conscious of it at the time. Yeah, stuff like this where I was kind of messing with sort of pushing sort of a Tom Waits kind of look or something, like a kind of a grungy look. Like 1930s illustration or something. 30s, 1940s. This is me trying to imitate Ralph Steadman right there. And then there's like more figures and stuff down here. Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about with like pushing story and stuff, like trying to get like make characters out of the figures, like pushing and exaggerating the poses, like playing with their proportions. Seeing how far you can push them and stuff. Okay, Google, stop. So what I want people doing tonight, if you are more familiar with, if you're not as practiced with like if draftsmanship is something you struggle with, I would want you to kind of focus on simplicity right now. So I would mainly want you to focus on line of action and maybe like the Glenn Vilppu technique, and even the scribble technique is fine. But even then, feel free to maybe, if you see an opportunity to like make a character or a situation out of a pose, go for it. But so what I'm going to be doing this evening is I'm going to be trying to look for those opportunities myself. I'm not totally warmed up to doing these techniques again, so it's going to be some false starts before I kind of get into it. But we'll see how it goes. Usually those kinds of drawings I usually like to save for like the last bits of a figure drawing session, but it really depends. And usually it works better if you have a costume model that's like the same model for the session in different poses and stuff. But in any case, I'm gonna see, maybe a good idea to use this guy, because I know this guy appears more than once. Let's see, maybe I can put him on. Oh yeah, here's this guy right here. Yeah, that actually works out really well. So I'm going to leave it on this page, actually, and we can try that experimental a little bit right now, actually. Let's maybe make him. I'm gonna maybe like show how I'd maybe approach making a character design figure model out of this. Like, you want to think in terms of like a few abstract like forms or something that like something that says what this dude is in terms of like a kind of a cartoon character iconography. So, like, what's the big things about this guy that we can play with to turn him into a cartoon character? Like, he's got a very square jaw. So I'm just gonna, like, scribble something out and see what happens here. He's got a very square jaw. He's got kind of, like, a very kind of heroic kind of, he's got a very kind of, like, all-American sort of American-y look to him. Got kind of a long but thick neck. Not that long. But I think we can exaggerate like the how high up his belt is. That'd be fun. So this is a demo right now, by the way, that I'm doing. We're going to be going back to the sets after this. But this is like, I want to give you guys an example of like this kind of like turning the figure model into a character sort of thing. Like I'm pretending like I have this figure model for a whole session poses for this evening. Like, what would I do with like turning him into a character? Not that I would necessarily use like the same character every time. Like, I might turn him into an animal, or I might turn him into an alien or something at some point, or do whatever I want, or change his costume, give him different props. So this guy is definitely, he's like an adventure type. I don't know what this reference was shot for, but it looks, kind of reminds me of Doc Savage, the old pulp novel hero, kind of a proto superhero. Yeah. Kind of like playing with his features, so this isn't the most dynamic pose right now, but that's okay. Like, I'm trying to like figure out what are his like identifying aspects that I could distill, you know, and what would be fun to draw, because it's also partly one of the reasons why you do this is you want to like sort of find something that's fun to draw, because of a character that's fun to draw, character that's fun for the artist to draw is a character that you can play with getting a lot of good mileage out of. I'm kind of playing with making this guy like a parody of the strong man, capable man type. He's like an idiot. But is he, the expression that I have on his face right now is kind of an innocent idiot. What are some of the identifying features of him? But I get this still further though. Let's see, I could really push like really push his torso, make his kind of pants kind of balloon out like really long, really big. I'm essentially designing the character here. Like I'm trying to see what aspects I can push and pull with to get something interesting out of him. And it's okay to scribble when you're doing these too. Like you're not making like perfect things. You're trying. It's almost like picking out of like patterns in clouds. Like it's okay to kind of go wild with it and like see what you can do. I like the idea of making his arms kind of spindly. It looks funnier that way. So it's maybe like they're still muscular and stuff, but they're like kind of like long and spindly. You're free to like scribble and mess up and like just do anything when you're doing this. When you're trying to come up with a character and you're just playing with shapes, it's like you're spattering ink on the paper or almost. Kind of see what kind of messy thing you can use, what kind of messy thing you can come up with to pull ideas from. Then you just take like the big scribbly thing you did. Go over it, refine it a bit. You want to kind of learn how to riff off of your scribbles. Like your scribbles are not useless scribbles. They are ways to kind of like explore stuff, basically. And you like if this was like if I was doing like this for like a character design class, like I'd go through this in phases and stuff, like continually developing this dude further and further, like see how much more I can distill him down. As it is, we only have so much time that I can really spend with this guy, and I'm coming in pretty rusty anyways as it is, but we're gonna see what we can do. We're gonna see if we can get something fun out of him. And it has to be a lot simpler. Oftentimes, though, like simplicity will sometimes come out of the course of like starting complex and then just like realizing just how much you can simplify things, how much things look better if I adjust this or change that. So feel free to be, I actually should have mentioned, I was going to say like people who are watching this demo could feel free to draw along with the reference on screen and try to do their own version of this dude. So let's see here. Maybe I want his head up higher. Remember, your first drawing is never your last, as far as like character development goes. Like this is like a let's pretend like I was commissioned to do a character design based on this guy. This would probably not be even close to what the final version of him would be. This is like an early first impression of me trying to explore him. But for a figure drawing session, for a character-driven figure drawing session, like something like this is fine. And you can also develop a character like this further during a session, especially for like costume figure drawing sessions. On that note, I actually want to find out if there's any kind of like costume figure drawing live streams. I know there's a few of them that happen. So I'd like to get something with a recurring figure model that I can do stuff like this with. One of the techniques you can use, darker lines on the underside of stuff. Help make things pop. Make things that you want to pop. Remember, you're not like working out or finalizing anything in this. This is just like you trying to play with shapes and character personality a little bit. Take him. Okay. This time I get about 5 or 10 minutes or so. More of this demo. So I got this guy here. What can I do that would be even funnier to play with? How extreme can I really go with him? guy a hero or a villain? I think the way that I'm starting to draw him now is that he's a villain who thinks he's a hero. He thinks he's a pulp novel hero or something, but he's actually an asshole. It's like from the expression on his face that I've just drawn.
Would that description match an anti-hero?
What's that?
Uh, that description would match an anti-hero stuff, like
Kind of, or a villain or an antagonist, really.
um,
It seems to be like a big thing. Like, well, actually, it's been a big thing for a while. Like the guy who traditionally would be like the pulp novel hero type square jawed dude who's actually just like an asshole. He's like a often racist, often sexist asshole.
it kind of looks like the comedian. The chin is like really wide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of looks like a super heroic version of Jay Leno.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like the chin. There's a trillion different ways to do giant ass chins, and I'm just doing like the clunkiest way possible. I haven't done fucking character design in a while, so.
I'm just waiting for him to start saying, "Have you seen this villain? Have you heard about this villain?"
So
Hey, let's take a look.
I'm like going like with the most clunky cliche thing possible right now. Of course, if you're doing if you're doing traditional stuff, there's a lot of things you can do to like kind of spark ideas for things. The magazine cutout technique that's really popular in CalArts, among CalArts students, is a really good one. Also, for flipping the canvas is a good way to give you some cues to work off. Like stretching different parts of the drawing using like lasso tool and drawing parts. So, and you want to kind of think of the character sometimes when you're developing it as like a construction paper cutout that you can kind of fiddle with. Like you want to use any means necessary that you can to spark ideas with big shapes and other things like that. I think like the Incredibles art. Let's see, was it Lou Romano or Teddy Newton? Teddy Newton. Yeah, Teddy Newton. Teddy Newton's Incredibles concepts, for example, show off like the kind of these are like cutouts from like magazines and stuff that he did for Incredibles development art. This is of course a drawing. This is a drawing by him, and then like just playing with like these big shapes and stuff, playful shapes. But he like this kind of magazine cutout approach to character design is something that a lot of CalArts students do. Here we go. Here's a bunch of character design stuff, not just by Teddy, but also by like Tony Fucile and a bunch of other folks who did character development on The Incredibles. Yeah, you can see like even like this, like a little bit more animator, like traditional animator oriented, more developed version of Bob Parr. Like it's still based in like really big abstract shapes and stuff. And you can see that in like the development art. This was like an early version of the villain that they decided not to go with. Yeah, like in Syndrome's design, let's see, Teddy Newton Syndrome. Yeah, here's some of the different he's like playing with pushing and pulling the different facial shapes and stuff. They actually spent like many years developing this, by the way, before it finally like went to pay. Like originally, here's his syndrome. Using like a piece of machinery there for Syndrome's face shape. It's interesting though, like I actually think that like they didn't necessarily intend it, but like Syndrome by coincidence kind of looks like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. I think a lot of people thought that, but it was like kind of a happy accident. They didn't intend, but sort of kind of fit because like modern superheroes are kind of anime and manga oriented. And it's like Syndrome is kind of like he's trying to be a superhero of the new generation or something like that, and he's like a pretentious asshole or something. Anyway, I'm not gonna go too far into this guy. I just wanted to kind of like get like a general. I want to give people like a general idea of like how they can like take a figure model for. I mean, this is character design stuff in general, but this is like coming up with a quick functional character design that you can use during a figure model session. Like this is something that's like I'd use this guy and I'd use different versions of this guy during a session. It sometimes like helps to do a little pre-planning like this for a figure model session, and that's basically what I did here, by the way. Let's see here. Like on this page right here, I did this, and I did that, and I think I did some of these when the figure model was not posing, like between her breaks or something, because I was trying to develop how I'd approach abstracting the figure. Anyway, so this is my personal goal right now, where I want to get back. I want to get myself back up in tune to where I start like regularly doing very storytelling oriented drawings of like pushing shape and body language and stuff. So you're going to be seeing me push myself more in that direction now in these sessions here. In addition to like, developing traditional draftsmanship and anatomy and other things. Anyway, so what time is it? It is, yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit further. I'm gonna go like a couple minutes further in this, and then we'll start another 20-minute session. Another thing about this is you should feel free to just have fun with the tools. Like, it's okay to get messy. Like I know like there's like this kind of Ethan and other people say like, oh, you gotta have clean, confident lines. Say to heck with that. And so do a lot of animators for that matter. You should be free to be messy and jittery. Like you do want to have like clean, confident lines at some point, but when you're like developing stuff, or you're trying to like figure stuff out, when you're kind of like exploring the general feeling of something, it's okay to be messy. You later on, you like can go over with a clean line later, and there's also times when you can kind of do like the Zen-like thing of focusing and then like getting really clean stuff like this. But you want to give yourself permission to be messy as you want to. It should be a productive kind of mess. Like, you should know why you're being messy. Like, are you trying to work out the kinks and get the messiness and get the nervous energy out of your system? That's perfectly fine. Because it's often like especially during like figure drawing sessions, you'll start like going in really, really scribbly. And then like towards the end of the session, you'll start slowing down more because you've gotten that nervous energy out of your system. And now you can concentrate and clear the noise out of your head. That's also one of the reasons why it's also a good idea before you even come to a figure drawing session to get warmed up, because then you'll actually you'll like before you even sit down for a model, you'll have that nervous energy already worked out a little bit. Anyway, I play with this guy more. Definitely more that can be done with him, but it's kind of like what I started with a little bit. More I definitely want to do playing with the head and the face. Let me actually try a quick silhouette test with some of his basic shapes, actually. A version of him where he has a longer neck. Big broad shoulders, maybe like this for the body. I can kind of, if you can visualize like how your character would talk, that's usually a good sign. I like the idea of like his hips being so wide that his like giant fists that he rests them on kind of go up like that. Or is it? Whoops. Oh yeah, and spoilers, we're going to be looking at a lot more Pixar stuff in the coming weeks. Well, we will still be looking, of course, at like Eastern influence things, but Pixar in particular is going to be the lion's share of attention that we're going to be devoting our eyeballs to.
Are we going to be studying Jack Jack versus the Raccoon?
Sure, why not? I mean, that one's like kind of a masterclass in a lot of storytelling techniques.
It was the reason you bought the ticket.
Yeah. I mean, Incredibles 2 had like... Incredibles 2 kind of felt like it had like the components of the idea, but didn't spend enough time baking in the oven.
Well, it was mostly just a role reversal of the first one.
Yeah, it was, which can work, but like there's really good critics that like did some amazing like analysis of what went wrong with the storytelling and what could be improved. That I hope Pixar is taking to heart. That's the other thing. Like Onward felt like it had some of the same issues. It felt like it was like it felt like it needed to bake slightly longer in the oven. Onward did. There was like a few aspects to it that I felt like were kind of slightly lacking. I think the core idea was good, but there was like it felt like it was missing one or two things for me.
Yeah, Onward was a bit of a weird mixed bag where it's like I can't tell if it was like a pacing issue or just the way that the story was kind of coming together towards the end.
I think there was like some aspect to the world building that didn't feel quite right. It felt too much like a generic it felt too much like a generic fantasy setting than it should have. I mean, it was like fantasy set in modern times, sure, but I mean, there's like one or two aspects that I felt like could have been pushed to be more specific to the world, if that makes any sense, to this specific world.
No, I get it. It's like they were trying to kind of parody the whole medieval fantasy thing, but they kind of just didn't quite nail it. Like there was something not quite there.
It felt like there was a lot of stuff missing. It felt like I felt like there should have been more stuff done. For example, with like the school classmates. Like I was hoping to see like the classmates show up at the end, and it's like, oh no, we thought you were a neat guy all along. Like There's, and then the classmates could have shown up and then like helped out in the final battle or something. But I don't know. There's like lots of little bits and pieces. It's hard to really nail down exactly. I can think of stuff that I wanted to have seen in it, but I don't necessarily think that my idea that like what I wanted to see would have helped what was kind of falling short in the story. I'd have to really
Like the
think about
bones
that
were
one.
there, it just like it needed like one more rewrite.
I think they leaned a little. I think they also leaned a little bit too hard into the. Yeah. It's a generic fantasy world, and now everyone has like it. Everyone has gone from like a wonderful fantasy universe to kind of a generic like middle-aged strip mall, middle-aged people with well, not middle-aged, but like a sort of generic like strip. It feels kind of really little bit more humiliating than it should. I don't know. It feels a little depressing. That like this high fantasy world got turned into basically a bunch of like strip malls and like family dining establishments and shit, and it feels and like everything. There's this kind of like there's this kind of
Like
there's this kind of
it
feeling
felt
like
too real.
this
It
kind
felt
of
like
the stuff has been turned into a generic Disney park attraction, basically, with the rough edges sewn off. I don't know.
yeah, like it's like they leaned too hard into modern without playing on it enough.
No, yeah. And one of the Discworld, the Discworld books, which I'm sure they took influence from too. I think pulls that off a lot better in some ways because there's like a lot of very modern stuff in the Discworld books. It's like there's like fantasy versions of computers and other things. Okay, let's do that there. There's like fantasy versions of computers and other things in the Discworld universe, but like there's like this kind of very very world specific stuff that's happening. Well, anyway, we're not going to get too much more into that. So anyway, what we're going to do now is, let's see, I'm going to put it on, let's see here, let's jump right into it. We're going to do 1 minute poses. So I'm just going to have people just like, if you want to do the storytelling thing, try running with an idea. If you get an idea to go with, but if not, then you can do any of the gesture drawing techniques that we've been doing throughout the week. So we'll just get right into it now. Okay, Google, set timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
Oh, there we go. There's a fantasy lady right there. The act of translating what you're seeing into a character is really fun when you get more into it. You're still going to be using like a lot of like the same drawing techniques and stuff, but some of the drawing techniques will suffer a little bit inherently because you're trying to play off of character ideas, so you don't want to like lean into it too much. If you need to get like more of like an artwork out for the evening, for example. In my case, I'm gonna like take an idea for something and I'm just gonna try running with it. That's gonna be my goal this evening. I'm gonna see if I can try to fit in a little bit of that development stuff with that one hedgehog character, but I think I need to kind of broaden my range this evening a little bit with playing with character. character and situation and stuff, so we'll see what I can do. See what this kind of cat ogre thing right now. Color ogre cat or something. You've been assigned to remake cats is actually practically a character design and class prompt or a biz dev class prompt. Yeah, I think in the back of my head I was thinking of the overweight cat from the God Awful Cats film. Terribly well balanced, but it is what it is. And of course, when you come up with ideas like this during a session, you can always like take them home and punch them up, work on them more later. So leave that one there. Let's grab another one. I actually do kind of want to play with this guy some more. He seems like he'd be fun, at least like in this state, like playing with the silhouette. Yeah, let's see here. Maybe I can load in the reference of Hedgehog, so I remembered to get some of him in tonight. There he is. Alright, we'll try this. That guy's hair is kind of in the same shape as my hedgehog, so... Is it already better than the movie? Well, the movie is like what you call polishing a turd. So, I mean, like, the more money they threw at it without trying to fix the core of what was wrong with it, the worse it became. So inherently, right off the gate, even if you're doing like a rough, I know you're just joking, but inherently, like, even if you're doing just like a rough sketch, so let's say like you're going to be doing a rough sketch, kind of redesigning ideas from the movie Cats, inherently right out the gate your idea is probably going to be better than what they came up with, because they kept through money to make a bad idea worse, basically, or to try to cover up a bad idea or whatever else other things went wrong with that.
It's sad because it's probably going to be what the Cowboy Bebop Netflix series is going to end up being.
Well, who's directing that? That's what I want to know. Zack Snyder. No. If it's whoever directed the Battle Angel Alita movie, then oh yeah, then I'd have more faith in that turning out pretty well. I think what would sell me on it is if the original creator of Cowboy Bebop had input on it first off. Actually, I think, well, gosh. So the only way that it's going to work, in my opinion, is if it has swagger that doesn't try to ape the original series, but speaks on its own terms, if that makes any sense. Like, they have to win us over. Like, Cowboy Bebop won over its audience very early on with, like, just like Spike's swagger alone. And the attitude and the humor of the show, straight from the first episode.
I would say its success is determined on whether or not they can perfectly recreate the dog chase scene, because that is just a masterclass in just everything going wrong and yet working.
I mean, that whole thing right there is like something that you want to analyze endlessly for storyboarding, which we actually did in one of my storyboarding workshops from last semester. Last year. The recording of it should still be on YouTube also. Let's see if I can find it later. Really kind of a crude drawing of him. I haven't really thought about how his head would look when it tilts up, or how his body would. Let's see what else I can do here. course, I had him flipped. Here. But it's normal to, like, if you're not really clear on a completely clear on a character design yet, or if you're like just getting started and using like this technique, it's normal to kind of like be kind of really unsure of it and all over the place a bit. So give yourself permission to have that kind of like adjustment period where you're sort of getting used to using a character, or just any character for this kind of approach, really. Some of it is also like there's like a character like this, there's going to be like drawing tricks for like how certain angles are handled and stuff, and if you haven't worked those out yet, you're going to be really kind of unsure of things. And doing something like this is a way to kind of help us together. I'm going to go back to that last pose real quick. So I kind of want to spend a little more time with this. I may actually put these on 2s, so it might work a little better for doing this.
Is there a more correct way to set up the perspective for an above ankle shot when you're drawing from the top down?
What do you mean more corrected?
Like, is there a way to set guidelines specifically to help with this?
Well, I'm just kind of doing it freehand. Like, I have a general idea of like how top-down perspective works, but I'm not like being strict to it because this is a sketch. So this is inherently not going to be like following the rules of perspective. Like, the idea being like I would take a sketch like this and then I would try to work out the perspective of it later a little bit better. But you can do like freehand, some shorthand for it or something. Here we go. Spend a little extra time on this guy here, actually. Since I already drew my model of him, and some of you guys should have him.
Flash Gordon, that's the thing I've been thinking of with this guy.
Yeah. Just like this, isn't it? Yeah, it was like that. Okay. Yeah, I flipped the whole page before I started drawing, so let's do that. Flip it back again. Alright, so I'm going to try some silhouette drawings using him. So I'm just paying attention to like the general shape of the character. I'm gonna try to like draw his extremities and limbs in ways that are kind of amusing to me if I can. One of your goals as an artist when you're coming up with a character design or whatever should be try to entertain yourself. If you're getting amused by something you're drawing, then that's usually a good sign.
I mean, that's how the Ninja Turtles came to
Not
existence.
always, not always though. Like, it's like sometimes you can be sticking your head up your own ass about what you're drawing. So,
I mean, that's how the Ninja Turtles came to existence.
yeah, yeah. Eastman and Laird we're just drawing it to amuse each other. They actually did it as a parody of some existing things. I forget what it It was like stuff around. There was stuff in the zeitgeist around during that time that they were trying to spoof a bit. It was partly originally a spoof of like Saturday morning cartoon type stuff or something. They just came up with like the most ridiculous idea they could think of. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and oh, it's just silly enough to work. Because it's goofy and fun, goofy and weird and fun.
And then a couple $1 billion later.
Yeah. Ha ha ha! This is so stupid. But what if? So what is it? I think. Well, I know Kevin Eastman has been continually involved in the various Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles productions, but I think was it Laird who got like kind of cut out of things or something?
He wanted to sell his share and then he left because he got sick of working on the show.
Huh.
And then after he had quit, that's when the major money came rolling in, where I think Nickelodeon bought it, and for like close to $1 billion or something like that franchise.
That sucks.
Yeah, like there. If you look at the, I think it's the Toys That Made Us documentary that actually goes over this in detail. If you go on Netflix, you can find it. It's actually very interesting how much he got screwed.
Wow. Yeah. I think I haven't seen that that one. I know I avoided it because like I actually because of that, because like I know about that, and I didn't feel like seeing that how that played out.
He's not like super bitter over it in that like or anything, but
well, he just made a bad decision. It was all on him. Like he got out when he should have stayed. You know. I mean, like if I was Kevin Eastman, I'd be like, hey, dude, you want part of my shares? You know?
Yeah, probably.
I'd be like, I respect you as a person and as a co-creator.
I think more than that, I think he just wanted his friend back more than anything else. Like over the course of that documentary.
Yeah, because like when it becomes about the money, it really sucks. But I mean, like Eastman went on to do a lot of cool shit, so, and he's been heavily involved. He's been heavily involved in like pretty much every like animated TV production of the series. So he's got like a lot of like animation chops to speak of. Okay. Okay, Google, stop. I think this is starting to go in the right direction a little bit. I'd probably like push the arm out more that way or something like that. I do like kind of the silly sort of directions it's going a little bit. But, my shoulder's getting a little tired, so I'm definitely going to want to take a step up and walk around break. So we'll set the timer for, let's see, what time is it? It is 7 p.m. We can either keep going to 7:30 or to 8. Depends on how many people are still here. 28 people, wow. Well, if the 28 people here can stick around to 8, we'll go to 8. Otherwise, I will be ending at 7:30. So please let me know if you do need to leave early. There's quite a few people who need to leave after 7:30. Yeah. I'm gonna get a drink and a snack. I'll be right back.
broadcast box every single night. Yeah!
A pleasant aroma for you, but not for mosquitoes. Pick is easy to use. Light it and forget it. The exclusive aluminum-lined ashtray top means not an ash falls on the dash. Pick's aroma keeps mosquitoes, gnats, and sandflies away. Pick is the best protection for barbecues, fishing and camping trips, or just relaxing in the yard. No more sleepless nights or mosquito bites. Pick is harmless to children and pets, too.
So if you don't want our company ever anywhere, and just like Pick him, see what I mean? Bye.
Pick is on sale at the refreshment stand.
The top place there's that rock and roll. You got a bomb party, do the stroke. If you like to bump, then you take the seat. You'll forget every place that you've ever been. So come on now, get the place inside. Call the broadcast box every single night. Yeah!
Something different for a change? Then try the perfect refreshment. Chili Dilly, a delicious pickle treat that's spiced just right for every bite. Economical, too. There's no waste. You eat every bit of the juicy goodness of Chili Dilly. How about trying one right now? Chili Dilly, on sale at our concession stand. You'll love them. You have 10 minutes till showtime. 10, 9, 8, 7 minutes to go. You have 5 minutes till showtime. Oh. Only 2 minutes left.
Somebody's crazy. Papa goes the weasel. Everybody knows the weasel blows, but popcorn, she pops real good. I eat popcorn. Everybody eats popcorn. She tastes real nice. Get yourself some now at our refreshment stand.
It's showtime.
We have just seen rushes direct from Hollywood of pictures being released in the coming weeks. And we are proud to announce that this theater will soon bring you the greatest array of pictures ever to reach our screen. You'll see the finest stars in exciting performances. You'll thrill to the suspense, comedy, romance, and drama of world-famous stories. Here's a glimpse of a few of them coming to this theater soon.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
Please remember to replace the speaker and heater on the post when you leave the theater. Please replace the speaker on its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patrons who follow you.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
He's the greatest. Because when it comes to winning blue ribbons, Dad can sure show us all how. But chances are he's always too busy making life easier for others to have time to collect them. So let's all toast the great family hero with a rousing, heartfelt cheer that's well earned. Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Okay, Google. Set timer for 20 minutes, 30 seconds.
Done. 20 minutes and 30 seconds added to your 10-minute timer.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening.
Let's keep going with this
now,
guy, actually.
On with the show.
We'll keep going on him for a few more minutes. I actually kind of want to keep running with this idea. So, Put that up there. So, make sure the music's going. Are you guys cool with that? If we just stick with this guy for the rest of the session? I want to see what people have, what different versions of this guy people come up with, actually. We'll keep running with this guy. And doing different versions of him for the rest of the session. So feel free to like use the poses that he's using right now as your like starting point, but then I kind of want you to maybe like play with coming up with your own, and we also might put on some other additional poses. I'm going to be using like a silhouette technique, kind of a really rough silhouette, but I'm going to be using kind of a silhouette technique to sort of play with basic shapes that I've sort of established for this guy. I've got these kind of like ridiculous triangular upper thighs for his kind of like aviator pants. I've got an idea, actually. I'm going to put on something thematic. Let's try this. So let's see. Here we go. Oops. Nothing like a little public domain cinema. Yeah, let's just keep playing with this guy. Maybe we'll play with this. We'll just like keep going and play with this guy until about 8-ish, I want to say. Have you tried using lasso fill? Yeah, I've used lasso fill before. I'm just not. I've used it mainly in like in Photoshop. I actually haven't done the technique very much since I started using Clip. But yeah, I'm aware of that. And I do like a version of it sometimes where like I draw the area out before filling it also, and then just using lasso. So now we're watching Captain Marvel, folks. How about that? The copyright disputes over Captain Marvel over the years are kind of hilarious and depressing at the same time.
Are you talking about Captain Marvel, or Shazam, Captain Marvel?
Shazam, Captain Marvel. Actually, both, really. But it's both of them embroiled in various copyright fiascos. And of course, like Captain Marvel was, I forget, was like yeah, Captain Marvel was either sued by the creators of Superman or vice versa. It's one. Yeah, there was like lawsuit stuff over Captain Marvel, and that's why they came up with Miracle Man in the UK. because they wanted to avoid that in the UK. And Alan Moore, with Miracle Man, when he did a Miracle Man reboot in the 80s, like that basically set the stage for what he would like later do with Watchmen and what a lot of other like British comics creators would do when they brought like the 1990s, 1980s British invasion of comic book authors over to the U.S.
This may be serious.
So I got this guy. Duplicate him. Let's see if I can put this guy into storyboardy situations. I'm playing with story with him. Maybe I can like throw some backgrounds behind drawings of this guy or something. There we go, that's like a little plausible, let's say. It would need to be refined a little bit more, but that's starting to look like in the ballpark of the caricature of this dude, for me.
That is not the true legend. When there's desecration, Scorpio will erupt. See for yourself, there is no eruption. You have spilled blood without reason.
While I'm at it, I'm going to see if I can do a little bit of that hedgehog.
Counsel them to await a sign from Scorpio.
Shall be as you say, Tuan. The true ledger must not be violated. The white men must leave. There is a curse which says that any white man that enters the Valley of Doom shall die.
He's coming back. It looks as if Tal Chitali was successful. I hope so. Is the attack over? Who are they? What do they want?
We will not be attacked again if we stop our work in the tombs and depart.
But our visas and permits are in order.
The chief warns that no permit will protect us from the curse of the Scorpion if we enter the inner tomb.
The only reason I financed
Stubby
this
legs.
expedition
Those
was
present
to
some
examine
drawing
countries
challenges
of
for
that
sure.
tomb. Surely you're not going to be stopped by a native curse. It's superstitious nonsense.
That's what everybody said about the curse of King Tut's tomb, but a lot of them died.
We'll handle this, Billy. We'll open the tomb at once. We'll strike camp in the morning and be well on our way before there is any further danger from the natives. That suit you, Tal Chitali?
I wish our danger came only from the natives.
You don't take this curse of the Scorpion seriously.
Believe me, gentlemen, there is a curse of the Scorpion.
Nonsense. We'll be seeing ghosts next. Let's get to work. Will you and Carlisle get these specimens back to camp? We'll be glad to.
That maybe. Trying to see for this hedgehog character, like I can use like the overall shape of his body to show what direction he's facing.
Can you translate it, Tal Chitali?
Yes, I can translate it.
And then I can play it into that for the silhouette. Like,
It says, let what reposes behind this stone remain hidden from the eyes of mankind for all time.
Why, the secret of the Scorpion dynasty must lie beyond this wall.
Perhaps it would be wise not to learn what that secret is.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I think Mr. Tal Chitali is right. I feel as though I were robbing a grave right now.
You afraid, Billy?
No, sir. I just don't want to pry into anybody's secrets. I'll go into these passages and remove that pottery.
a
before I
silhouette
bother with
test
any
of that.
part this.
Very well.
Billy Batson is the wisest one among us. I think I shall follow his example, if I may be excused.
Just as you like.
Look, a scorpion. Why, it's not a tomb at all.
Wonder if putting on some public domain movies like these would be a good idea in the future. I mean, I hope I don't get boinked for putting this up. This is a public domain film, after all.
These are lenses of a sort.
They're probably a fused quartz of some kind.
Well, if this is the dreaded secret of the Scorpion dynasty, it seems to be quite harmless now.
Sunlight seems to have something to do with it. Why? These lenses are adjustable.
We will find out.
Here, bring them all into focus.
We will find out if there's, like, no audio for this portion of the stream or something. Alright, let's try this. Kate.
I am Shazam.
I kind of like him like this.
All is known to me. Your name is Billy Bat.
Yeah, I do like how this character design is starting to slowly develop.
That is why I am
It's a pretty nice silhouette, actually.
Where did you come from?
out of the past, my son. Down through the ages to guard the secret of the Scorpion.
For reference, this is the character I'm trying to develop right now. I have some other additional stuff with him. Here, let me bring him up real quick. There's other drawings that I've got to go dig out from him, but I'll be able to show you a few of them. I've got to develop a character that is a counterpart character to him, too, who's a human friend of his. So it's originally for like an RPG game idea, but I kind of just want to develop the story. There's a little guy here, like from my initial thumbnail sketches, and messing with him. Some of the bad guys in the world. I had an idea of like
Shazam. By its repetition, you will become Captain Marvel.
like an attack that the two of them could use. There's some really shitty drawings in there, but ignore that. Let's see here. Yeah, there was another drawing I did of one of the other characters that I'm developing. Let me see if we can find it.
The stamina of
I think I have it here.
the power of Zeus, the great courage of Achilles. And
Sorry, I'm covering up the reference here. Move that out of the way.
You must never call upon this power except in the service of right. To do so would bring the Scorpion's curse upon your own head.
I think we'll be actually calling it quits pretty soon, because people are starting to drop off from the stream, and it's getting close to 5. It's just 7:30 now. It's just the normal quitting time. But we made some good headway. I'd like to, before we go, I'd like to take a look at what people have done in chat. Let's see here. Show me your Kirk Buffmans. That's what I'm gonna call him. Kirk Buffman. Since we did do Kirk Buffman tonight, maybe we can do some story. Maybe tomorrow we can do some storyboarding with Kirk Buffman for tomorrow's 2:30 class. We'll see about that though. Tomorrow I'm gonna be giving you guys the tools to do with, and that's fun. Yeah, very Bruce Campbell kind of looking head there. Scribblies.
Malcolm, you all right?
Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah, Rabboots has got some stuff they're kind of struggling with, but I do like the idea that you're going with the head and the proportions. The overall like the ability, your ability to balance figures is kind of not there yet, but like I do like the basic ideas of the shapes you're playing with. Yeah, this is playing with some fun gesture, I would say. This is not too far off the mark from what you would normally see in figure drawing plot sessions right here, by the way. Because I can see you kind of messing with like kind of coming up with like an abstract system for how the face is used, how you draw the face, for example, or different parts of the body. I can see you trying to like darken in certain areas of the body. I can see you trying to kind of use gesture and simplify stuff. This one's a little bit lacking. I would say I would say don't stress about it too much. I would say that someone like this is pretty beginnery, and that's okay. Just out front, feel free to play with this stuff. But yeah, I would say that you would want to concentrate a little bit more on line of action to build up your confidence, so you can play with the cartooning more. Here's some other ones here. Some of these are a little bit weirdly balanced, but I mean these are sketches, so. But I do like some of where it's going. I think you can push these even more too. If you want to keep going after this class ends, then I would say just like take what you've done and try pushing it even more. Like try to see how far you can shrink parts of his body and expand other parts of his body or his face or his features and stuff. Whoops. That's kind of a little bit more dramatic with the lighting there, I would say. That's neat. And with some fun line of action stuff. It's got a little stanky leg going on there because of leg lengths, but I mean, just playing with his body and with rhythms. This is not out of the ordinary for this kind of exploration for these sessions. Let's see here. That one I actually really like right here. This one is kind of getting closer in the. There's elements of this that is usable for like for a animation character design, like some of the stuff in the head and the general kind of shape and proportions of like the body versus the legs. I think there's more stuff that needs to be worked out for the arms, but like the general kind of idea is kind of getting there. There's more of that stuff from earlier. This dude looks like he's about to fall over to the left. So I mean, like, I can see you playing with like the lemon slices and other things like that. I mean, like a lot of this is like you just need more freedom and range to play. Remember to like, so Raboots keep playing like this, but also like keep playing like this and then keep going back to how can I push this stuff more and how can I get more confident and stuff, and like how can I do stuff like, for example, he looks like he's about to fall over to the left side there. Like, try to think how you would, like, if you redraw it, what would you fix? Like, what's like this weird stuff going on with his arm here? It looks kind of like a natural arm pose, for example. And his hips and his waist look kind of weird stuff. But I mean, like, you're just playing with stuff here. So you have total freedom to kind of make drawings like this when you're messing around here. I would just say that like you want to like you'd want to see how you could improve on that, basically. Like
my brain logic was going towards Bruce Timm when I was kind of drawing this. I'm like, okay, how would he do this like this?
I can see like you're trying to struggle with something like that, but then like it's Bruce Timm is someone who has like a lot of like figure drawing knowledge under their belt. So like what you're seeing when you look at Bruce Timm, you're not seeing about like you're seeing about like 50 or 60 steps removed. Okay, Google, stop. You're seeing about 50 or 60 steps removed from like the thing that he's drawing or something like. Like I like, let's see, Teddy Newton. actually, for example, like Teddy Newton has a very, very flat style for the Incredibles stuff that he did. So like his figures are kind of really lopsided and strange and stuff versus like a perfectly well balanced figure or something like this. But I mean, there's reasons why he does this. There's like kind of a lyrical flow to it, even if it's not like completely symmetrical and stuff. Like he's exploring that kind of the shapes and the general kind of flow. There is kind of a sense of a rhythm and a balance to this, even though it's kind of asymmetrical, for example. But it's from someone who has a lot of confidence from like doing that kind of stuff. You can see how he's like kind of playing with this stuff. Like he has like this thick line over here. Like he does these like really, really quickly and confidently because he's put a lot of time in with like this pen mileage of being able to play with like these long strokes. Like this kind of stuff right here. Like you can get that kind of dexterity from like doing these exercises that we've been doing of like these 30-second poses. You can see me doing actually like a version of something like that from my portfolio thing that I showed earlier with this, specifically this page right here, where like I use like simple lines and stuff to describe the figures. But yeah, like all this kind of stuff, it kind of takes time to kind of warm up to, but I would say that like you could get like way better results out of your figures from your cartoon interpretations of figures by going back to this, and we'll be continually working on this stuff throughout the next week and taking it through the next 2 logical steps that I'm going to be taking things. I kind of like where I do like where this character is kind of starting to go right now, and I'm going to be bringing them up tomorrow. I think I don't know how far I'll get into actually showing story development I have with them, but tomorrow we'll be going over writing techniques for like getting like the basic writing started of your storyboards. And let me get rid of Captain Marvel here. Tomorrow we'll be going over like some writing brainstorming techniques for you for brainstorming your stories, and then we'll be also going over some storyboard thumbnailing techniques that'll help you break down your story ideas. We'll also be going over some more of the Floopy Newbie stuff to give people kind of an overview of like some of the principles of storyboarding, and we'll just like break it off piece by piece. We also might get a little bit more figure drawing sometime in the day, not necessarily on stream. Like we might do it off stream or something. That's just like an additional exercise or something. But yeah, this was pretty fun. I didn't anticipate us getting this far into storytelling drawings, but I think I'm glad that we did, because this is ultimately the direction that we're going to push. But of course we're going to be like doing this, and we're also going to be revolving back to like try to improve our fundamentals too. Like, so it's got to be like kind of an all of the above approach. Yeah, that's what it's going to be like. Tomorrow we're going to be working on storyboard stuff, and then on Monday we're going to be back to gesture drawing and probably gesture drawing fundamentals again, or depending on what momentum it is that we're going to be trying to build. Maybe we'll continue with the storytelling drawings, but we'll see. So I'll see you guys here at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a pretty intense session because I want you guys to really start brainstorming about your stories and what it is you want to draw in your pre-planning. Because I want the idea that I want to go with people is I want people to design a story for a short scene or a couple of scenes, and then we're going to be walking through the process of fully storyboarding it to a point where it's like, oh yeah, this is good enough to animate now, and then like all of us can work on like taking it to the next step, maybe like working on some animation for it. Like, I want to use this as an opportunity myself to kind of like do an animation test with these characters that I've been developing. And you should too. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Thank you all for coming. It's
Thanks
been
for
a
the class.
fun little session.
Thanks for teaching.
Yeah, bye-bye.